What made you want to move to the US?
For greener pasture, better life, better future. Just not for myself, but for my entire family too. That includes my parents and my siblings.
The American Dream, the belief of potential prosperity for families and future generations in the United States, mostly appealing to immigrants. Mainly depicted through TV shows and movies, life in the United States seems almost picture perfect. From the high school experience to life after college to finally settling down in a perfect world.
There was a point in my life where it's my dream to come here, live here, raise my family here. So, with the saying, envision your dream, I did that. Every time I watch Miss Western movies, I live in it. I am in it. So, I am set and ready. I came here and everything's so familiar.
Both of my parents went to school together in the Philippines. They met, started dating in high school, and got married in early 2000. November 28th, the year 2000, my sister Anya was born.
I was working the same profession as a medical technologist, getting paid $2 a day. I was living in a so-called boarding house with four people in a room, public toilet, public kitchen. Your sister was with your grandparents because I couldn't afford to raise her. Your grandmother still give me money because I couldn't even pay my rent. So there it is. I needed to get out of there.
My mom grabbed the first job that would take her, and it was Berryville Mercy Hospital. My mom moved to the US by herself in 2005, while my dad and sister came the following year.
The hardest part was leaving your 4-year-old sister. But they came here after a year and a half, though. So there's that fighting homesickness. There was a time that I doubted myself if I could really make it through emotionally and mentally.
Before following my mom to the United States in October 2006 with my sister, my dad worked four jobs: a full time bank teller, a part time model, a regular TV host, and a band member. Although his life was interesting, his jobs were not very secure for him to support a family.
I came to the States with an H4 visa. In short, it was a dependent visa from for H1B working visa, which your mom had. With an H4 visa, I couldn't work legally in the States, so I was a houseband. And for a year and a half, I was just taking care of your sister. I was your mom's driver. I was a stay-at-home husband or a dad. After a year and a half, probably we did change of status because my H4 visa would expire in a year and in 2 years and 2 years and 6 months. So we applied for a green card. 2012 we had a green card. 5 years after that, 2017, we were eligible to apply for American citizenship. But unfortunately for me, in 2017 when I submitted my papers, I forgot to sign it. I was left behind. Your mom proceeded with her uh, citizenship in 2017. So I've decided after 2 years to reapply, and then I got my citizenship in 2021.
3 years after immigrating to the United States, my parents had me on January 20th, 2008, adding another member to the Sincero family in the United States. I grew up with social media and the internet. I never really knew what it was like without it. But to my parents especially, it was a life changer to them as immigrants.
Now that social media and the phone technology are really advanced right now, it made a big difference. It's a game changer for us because anytime, anywhere now we can talk to our parents and to our families back home. It's that easy. We can leave messages to them now anytime. That's a good thing for us immigrants.
But with these successes, such as easier communication, came a lot of struggle for both of my parents. They found it hard building a credit history as 20 something year olds when they first moved here, and even though English was taught in school in the Philippines, the language and accent barrier was still there, like when at a grocery store talking to the cashier.
Yeah, when I got here, I always try to speak good English, but then when it comes to the cashier, I would just not speak. Uh, I mumbled and stuff like that. So I always have your mom go to the cashier and just me behind her. I would not speak in English when I got here. One, I couldn't understand the accent and they speak too fast for me that time. So that was a culture shock for me. As immigrant parents, we had to make sure that our kids would not be left behind in school, especially speaking the language. We thought that if we just let them speak English, it will be easier for them in school. But later on, we learned that it is best to have the kids speak your language and also learn English because, anyways, English is being taught in school. Then at home, we should have just let you speak the language, but we did not. So yeah, that's a hard thing to look back.
Despite their hardships as first time parents in a new country, that never stopped their motivation of giving their kids and each other a brighter future and endless opportunities. My sister is a first gen immigrant, born in a foreign country, the Philippines, and moved to the United States when she was only 5 with my dad in 2006.
I can remember a few things just because it was a big change in my life, but I do remember being confused. I also remember my aunt packing my things for me to start living with my dad so I could transition to moving to the States. And I remember her crying. I thought I was just gonna go stay with my dad for a few days, like spend the night or something. But turns out she was crying because I was like gonna leave.
At the time, my sister spoke very little English, but there were many other struggles she experienced.
Some struggles that I faced as a first gen would definitely be an identity crisis. Like, for example, during high school, I was always known as the Filipino girl, and being Filipino was very, like, attached to who I was. And then when I went back to the Philippines to live there, I was seen as the American, and it was like a complete 180 to a point where it got me confused on who I was to myself because of other people's opinions on me. So I was kind of torn between two places, and I had to fully accept that I am Filipino, but I'm also very Americanized.
I am considered a second gen immigrant, born and residing in a country where my parents immigrated to.
I hope we can provide you with more support that's including me and our parents. And I also hope that we can pave a better path for you to have more opportunities and just so that like since we've been here much longer, I hope we have understood how things here work better so that you can achieve better.
COVID time was a very scary time, especially us being far from our families. There's that big question, will I ever see my family, my friends, my siblings, my parents again?
The summer of 2020, my parents and I planned on visiting the Philippines to help my sister settle down into college going into her sophomore year at CDU, majoring in nursing. But due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we were unable to.
I was kind of wondering if y'all were safer than I was, just because definitely during COVID times, even across the world, I was getting like news of what is going on in America and like, how people were reacting to mask mandates, to vaccines. And it also kind of worried me because of, the Asian hate that was going on during that time. I will say COVID gave me a break from life, but with COVID putting the whole world on pause, it kind of made me realize just, how precious our time is and how like we should cherish the time that we have here. And it kind of made me rethink my path in like nursing. So like I shifted my major from nursing to business marketing.
As a family, we all experienced different struggles during the pandemic. I struggled with the constant isolation and not being able to see my friends, but I pushed through and found other ways to stay connected by using the internet, of course.
Being in the medical field and a frontliner, it was really hard to brush off the thought that I might be the one bringing the disease home to my family. So I made sure and tried every possible way to not do that. And that was really tough, but you do what you gotta do.
Personally, my hardships during COVID was having to be there for everyone in my family. I was just needed everywhere, is what it felt like. I was kind of always being pulled in one direction and then another direction, taking care of our elderly grandparents who were very susceptible to the virus. So it just felt like the amount of responsibility that I had was just piled sky high, and it felt like everybody needed something from me all at the same time.
Despite the struggles my family has faced during their early years first immigrating to the United States, we are now thriving with the experience and lessons we've achieved. My mom continues her career as a medical technologist. My sister is now going into her junior year at UCA as a business marketing major. And my dad is living out his life, working at Tyson's, and fulfilling his many hobbies. As a Filipino American who loves to keep in touch with her culture, family, and heritage, I try to never pass up the opportunity to explore it. Let it be doing traditional dances, being a part of debuts, or even visiting family in the Philippines. I take pride in my family and culture, and I'm so blessed for the opportunities given to me. My family story is one of many examples of the causes and effects of immigration. The cause being wanting a better life and starting off fresh, which caused adaptation, struggle, expectations, and hopes for the future. While all of this is going on, the world and society continue to advance and develop, playing into our life in the US as immigrants.